For the world at war background reading, World War One, the first point, imperialism, nationalism, and colonies. As industrialization was continuing into the late 1800s, Germany started expanding overseas like many of the industrialized nations of the world had already done. In the Pacific, Germany claimed part of New Guinea, part of the Solomon Islands, Marshall Islands, and some smaller island groups in the early 1900s. Germany then joined the Scramble for Africa, where they searched for African colonies to claim. Unfortunately, there were not many to choose from, but Germany ended up with Togoland, the Cameroons, and small portions in the east and southwest of Africa. Germany then caused some trouble in Morocco when Kaiser Wilhelm II made a speech supporting Morocco as an independent nation in 1905. This led France and Britain to hold a grudge against Germany. And then, in 1911, Germany made plans to build a railway through the French-occupied Morocco. This would be a large help to Germany, but Britain and France were skeptical. French troops and a German gunboat were then sent to Morocco to be ready for any sort of revolution or loss of territory that could have occurred. Ultimately, nothing happened. France and Germany made an agreement where Germany received land in the French Congo, but had to acknowledge France's occupation in Morocco. Through all that, though, Britain was still on edge as they saw Germany as a threat in Africa and a threat to their African colonies. So then the two alliances that emerged from that were the Triple Alignment. The Triple Alliance was formed in 1882 between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, who had joined later. This alliance was the idea of German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, and its purpose was to prevent countries like Russia and France from becoming too strong and being a threat to German territory. Then, in 1907, the Triple Entente was formed. This alliance was between Russia, France, and Britain. It was formed because of an equal distrust of Germany and German territory that all of those countries shared. They all didn't trust Germany, wanted to look out for them. So in the Schlieffen Plan was a plan created by Germany in the early 1900s to explain what they would do if war broke out. The plan came from the mind of Field Marshal Alfred von Schlieffen, and it explained that Russia would be slow to mobilize, so Germany would take advantage of that and attack France and Belgium at that time. Then, after they had conquered France and Belgium, they can turn their attention towards Russia. France and Russia also developed similar plans at this time to outline what would happen if there was a war. So we move to the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was once a vast nation, but the 1800s was a period of great decline for them. Nations like Greece had created nationalist ideas and wanted their freedom from the Ottoman Empire. Many other nations split off from the Ottomans, and they were no longer powerful enough to defend their empire. Serbia then tried to expand their territory in the Balkans, where they founded the Balkan League with Greece, Bulgaria, and Montenegro. The League then attacked Macedonia, which was land controlled by the Ottomans, in 1912. The Ottomans lost significantly in that attack and were forced to give up most of their European territory. The new technology. Artillery was a major advancement made during World War I. Weapons became more portable, easier to use, and more powerful than ever before. New machine guns were made for soldiers that were more efficient, but they caused mass casualties during the war. Poison gas and chemical warfare began in World War I, and it was so deadly and so strong that it is now banned worldwide. Tanks and airplanes allowed for movement of troops and reconnaissance over enemy lines. Submarines were also first introduced in World War I, making way for a new age of naval combat. The roles of women and women's participation. War had caused significant change of women's roles in society. When men went off to fight during World War I, women stepped into many male-oriented jobs to fill the shoes of the men at war. This included factories, munition plants, and defense industries. There were also an abundance of jobs for women in traditional female-oriented industries. Women would work as nurses and medical professionals. The Red Cross organized nursing and hospital buildings across France and Belgium to help victims of the war. In territory ceded new nations after the war, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in 1918 outlined many territories that Russia must surrender to the Central Powers. Poland, Ukraine, Finland, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia were all new nations created after the war from territories that had been surrendered from Russia. This also gave Germany new ports in these areas. And the United States suspending civil liberties. During World War I, many of the United States citizens had criticisms for the U.S. involvement in the war. This led to newspapers, radio programs, all sorts of publications, propaganda, criticizing the United States government for their involvement in the war, which obviously influenced the citizens. And this is not acceptable for a country like the United States to temporarily remove the civil liberties of their people. The First Amendment to the Constitution gives Americans freedom of speech, the freedom to speak what they want when we want to do it. This involves criticism. This amendment allows Americans to criticize or speak their opinions about the government freely, without punishment, and without worry that something will happen. Other nations are unable to do this, as they would receive severe punishments. An extreme case would be North Korea. But the U.S. decision to suspend those rights during that time turned the United States into a dictatorship in that aspect, where you can't speak freely, and if you don't support, you have to die, basically. Obviously, it was not that extreme in the United States, but it's just the principle. Thank you.